My name is Jackie, and this is one of the first episodes of our podcast channel, 30 Years of Wisdom. From as far back as I can remember, I've always felt a very deep urge to help others. Over the years, I've grown older and gained more experience. And I've realized something very profound. Even the smallest micro decisions that we take in our lives create a ripple effect very profoundly, and can shape our lives for the better or for the worse. Often people say to me, if I'd only known this 30 years ago, and that is just not a passing thought. It's the wisdom they've gathered through decades of experience, and it's that wisdom I feel called to share with you. My journey has taught me that even if I can improve one person's quality of life or help them avoid one misstep, then I've fulfilled my purpose here on earth. So far, I've been doing that on a very small scale, but just imagine, and that is what I hope to imagine. Just imagine if I could create this for a larger audience. In the past, people have told me I have a gift for teaching and explaining things clearly. And I believe that every moment in my life has led me to this point. This is where I'm meant to be. This is my purpose in life. That is what drives me, and that's why I've decided to start an English language YouTube podcast channel. And oh, by the way, I'm from Belgium. I live in Antwerp. The idea of reaching more people and touching more lives and perhaps even inspiring positive change in ways that maybe I cannot even imagine, that fills my heart with excitement. This is why it's the reason I'm taking this leap, stepping way out of my comfort zone and sharing my knowledge and my experience with the world. Welcome to 30 Years of Wisdom, and let's grow together. Now, this YouTube podcast channel would have never been possible without the following 5 ladies I'm going to introduce to you. They are highly driven students who chose to take on this project to create my brand identity and to start it from scratch. They've even helped me choose a name for this channel, and over the past few months, they really gave it all. And I'm incredibly grateful to them. Meet the faces behind the creation of 30 Years of Wisdom. So, like I just said, this podcast channel wouldn't have been possible without the 5 ladies, but let me explain how it really happened. This is Andrea. Hi, Andrea.
Hey, Jackie.
We've known each other for a couple of years. We've known each other through business network events. And a couple of months ago, we haven't seen each other for quite a while. And a couple of months ago, he was on one of the breakfast network events. And at the end of the meeting, he started to explain that besides he's a graphic designer, and he's truly one of the best graphic designers I know. He has a very own way to create actually your brand for your business. And right now you're specialized in restaurants, right?
Yeah, and hospitality and tourism.
Yeah, okay. So that's what he does. So we met again, and at the end of the meeting, he started to explain that he teaches now at a large school, UCLL. And at the end of it, he said, I've got a class with a lot of young, driven people, and they needed projects. So he needed to assign projects to their students, because the project was about branding, about logo, about really creating a house style for either an entrepreneur that is already has his or her business, or someone that is a startup. Now, I'm not a startup, but this YouTube channel is a startup, and actually basically a completely new business that I'm doing here. So I didn't want to say it out loud, in front of everybody. So I WhatsApped him And he called me back in the afternoon and I explained, listen, I want to start, a YouTube channel. This is something that I've been thinking about for 4 years, but then there was COVID. And then I got sick. I really got ill and I had 5 operations in 2 years' time. I'm not going to make this channel about that. I will explain this in one of the other podcasts, so you know from where I come and in what season I live right now. So, and then he called me and he said to me, well, if you want to do that, fill out an A4 piece of paper with your story and I will send it to my students and see what happens. 1 week passed. 2 weeks passed. 3rd week. And then I got a phone call early in the morning. And then he went like this, Jackie, tell me. And then he said to me, they fought to have you. And I said, nah. I didn't want to believe it at first. And he said, yeah, they fought. They really fought to help you create your brand. And the rest I'm going to leave up to you. So what happened?
Yeah, the thing was, what the fighting for the brand was really, we had a list of a lot of projects that the students could work with. And there were some big companies. So I think for a young student who's about to, go into the market after they're done studying, might be interesting to, go for a big corporation, like a huge brand. And I don't know, it was probably your story or something that felt very authentic for the students. And so they kind of were in trouble of picking you. So that was amazing. That was really cool. And so cool to just come into this room and see 5 students who are standing around us and giving their all just to launch your new brand identity, which is really cool as a teacher to see that.
Well, I hope it launches. And that's also, it's not only up to me, but it's also a little bit up to you, the viewer, the follower, and the one that's, say, okay, let's follow this channel and share the wisdom, because this is actually what it's all about. Andrea, no joke. I chosen to be from day one very authentic, and this, YouTube channel, podcast YouTube channel I wanted to start is in my mind for 4 years. And to be very honest, if you wouldn't have been on that meeting, we wouldn't be doing this here right now. Because I couldn't see starting without, a brand. And often you hear just start. But the thing is, when you're not an entrepreneur, when you don't own your own business yet, then it's a lot easier to start. But when you've been self-employed and when you have your own business for many years, you see entrepreneurship a little bit different. And then you know that you have to start somewhere. You have to have a basic identity before you have to have a name. You have to, I knew exactly what I wanted, but it needed to be built. Now, the young ladies are here and I would like to very much introduce them to you as well, because I owe these 6 people everything. Tell me in short what you do, because I think it's very important also for the viewer to know who you are.
What I do in my professional life, I used to be a graphic designer, so I studied graphic design and specialized in branding almost right away. And then I followed my passion, which is basically traveling, good food, eating out. So I founded a company, it's called Density, and we do branding, and we do that purely for tourism, hospitality, and food. So basically that means I'm creating brand identities, brand strategies, working with a lot of passionate, authentic people, which is really in my niche. There's a lot of people who just follow their passion, their drive, their strong purpose. And these people are so nice to work with. If you're creating a brand, it's always about authenticity, which I found with you as well. So I love doing that. And just one semester at UCLL, they asked me to teach branding for students. So I have about 24 students, I think, on 7 projects doing brand identities, of which this is one project that's going really well, thanks to your enthusiasm and one of the ladies right next to us.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Of course, you can find his contacts below this video. So like I was saying, this idea of starting up a YouTube podcast channel has been with me for over 4 years. Probably I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for Andrea, but especially for these 5 amazing ladies. So without further ado, let's introduce them. You start.
Hi, I'm Phoebe, and I study creative media management with the other 5 ladies here.
Hi, I'm Emma, and I also study creative media management, and I'm 22 years old.
Hi, my name is Nula. I'm 90 years old, and I do this together with my friends, and we are very excited.
Hi, I'm Mirte, and I'm also 20 years old. Yes.
And you study, of course. the
Also,
same.
yes.
You have any idea how your name is pronounced in English?
Word.
Yeah. What about you?
Hi, I'm Sitkin. I'm 19 years old, and I also study creative media management.
Okay, great. Awesome. Now, what made you decide to choose this as a project? Who goes first?
I will do. I think the name at first, Social Media Madame, it was very special, but it looks like a happy name, I think. And your looks, I think your looks, no?
Yes,
Yeah,
you look
because-
so positive. And
And
you
happy,
have such a nice,
good vibe.
Yes, good
The
vibe.
first thing we did when we got the list was look everybody up. And then we
Yes.
saw you.
Okay.
And
Yes.
the story was
Yes.
very emotional
Yes.
that you
Yeah.
wrote in the paper, and we're like, we want to help
Yes.
her, like
Indeed.
rebranding or branding her own brand.
Yes.
And we
Yeah.
also like social media, so the name was
Yes.
very
Yeah.
attractive.
It was interesting, yes.
Yeah.
So maybe to specify something, this is of course the channel, which is a startup on its own. But in my daily life, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a videographer, and I do social media management for small to medium businesses. So that's what I do on a daily basis. So if you hear the name, the social media madam, that's where it comes from. What I also loved about it is when we were looking for the name for the podcast, we all had ideas, and we
Yes.
chipped in all the ideas
Mhm.
into the WhatsApp. And that's what I loved as well too. This is in my head for 4 years, but it's finally here, and I'm very happy. Now you're students, and of course you have your own questions of life. You know, and I think this is a very good topic to ask me a couple of questions, and I hope that I can inspire you to do something with it in the near future. Yeah. Who starts asking who had the first question? When I, here on the computer, a couple of questions, but did everybody decide the same, or was there someone who had a very specific question of her own?
I had like a specific question. My question for you is, how do you deal with bad moments in your life, but just on business and also in your private life?
Okay, so how you deal with bad moments? I think challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, everybody's going through tough times. Everybody in their life. Well, not every day is rosy. Not every every day of your life is great. And sometimes you have periods where it's really tough. Sometimes it's just a couple of hours or a day. And whether you're 20 or whether you're in your 50s or 60, it doesn't change the fact that you still feel bad when it happens. It doesn't change that fact. The difference is when you get older, you learn how to deal with it in a better way. So, and that is what I mean with that is how to deal with it is, you know what we all do when we're younger? Our emotions get the better of us.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that if you can master and control your emotions, if you can do that, instead of doing this in 30 years from now because you're older and wiser and you have more experience, if you can teach yourself this now to do that, you are going to approach every situation a lot calmer than you do right now when your emotion is taking it over. You know, how do you do this? Well, this is for each and every individual different. For one person, it's like putting on your headphones with, I don't know, the music, all sorts of, I'm not going to go into different genres, but all sorts of music, the music that you love. For someone else, it's like go outside and run or do some sports or go swimming or whatever. Yeah. For the other person, it is, for instance, a sort of yoga. Yeah. A sort of meditation. But I really advise each and every one of you, that is, learn to do meditation. And meditation is not something that comes easy. Meditation is not sitting down and not think of anything. Because as a human being, it's impossible not to think about anything. Your mind always goes on. But if you meditate, what you can try is to lower your thoughts. And lower, I mean, think slower. And the focus on one thought can be the problem that you're experiencing at that moment. And then when you lower the fastness of your thoughts and you think about that only thing that is, challenging at the time, and you ask yourself the question, how can I deal with this? It's incredible what your mind will give you, the answers that you actually need. And the funny thing is, often it's not at the moment that you're meditating, but often it is like you're standing in the shower and you have an epiphany, or you're asleep, you're waking up in the morning and you think, this is the way I'm going to solve it. Or you're just like in the car, on a bike, having sports, even in a room that is so crowded, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you just have an epiphany and you think, okay, I can solve this. The main important thing is control your emotions. And that is something you better teach yourself now than in 10 years from now. Is this sort of...
Yes.
Yeah? That's good. Yeah. And just, take it to heart and do something with it. Just don't, go out here and think about it and then never do anything with it. And it's not going to be easy. Yeah. Sometimes you really need to go out of your comfort zone. And you can either choose to binge watch something on television or on social media, or either you say to yourself, okay, I'm not going to wait until I have a challenge. I'm going to teach myself now how to control my emotions. You know what the thing is with people in general? In school, we don't get to be taught about our mindset, our emotions, what life throws at us, how we're going to handle it. We're not being taught that in school, which is so completely wrong. Because when they would spend a couple of hours a week teaching young women and men like you that, in 20 years' time, we'd have a completely different generation that is a lot more in control of their emotions. Yeah. So don't wait until it's taught to you. Teach it yourself. And there is online so many things. What I will definitely do is I will WhatsApp you some people where those are really good at helping for meditation to control your feelings.
Okay, that's very good.
Okay. So, what is the next question you would like to throw to me? And who's the next one who's going to ask it?
I was thinking about how important it is to step out of your comfort zone, because you are doing it right now. So maybe you could give us some tips.
Yeah. Okay. So, the best thing you can do is to, well, first of all, I need to answer the question: how important is it to come out of your comfort zone? Well, it depends what your ambition is in life. But if you really have a lot of ambition, and many times that ambition comes not right now, but sort of when you're 22, 23, 24, 25, that's when the ambition starts to kick in. Yeah. You need to come out of your comfort zone every day, and you don't have to wait until something occurs that forces you out of your comfort zone. What you can do is make a list and you write it down on a piece of paper. And I'm gonna get back to this, why you needed to write down on a piece of paper. So you write down 5 or 10 topics that you know that are difficult for you now.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you choose one of the topics and you actually force yourself doing this every day until it gets easier and easier and easier. And then it comes almost natural. And then it comes natural. And then you think, I got this. And when you got it, you go to the second topic on your list that you made. And then you go to the third, and then you go to the fourth. And this is the way you teach yourself to come out of your comfort zone. Because if you don't come out of your comfort zone, when you maybe are a little bit an introvert, yeah, you have 3 types. You have introvert, you have extrovert, and you have ambivert. And a lot of people, when they hear me and they see me, they think that I'm an extrovert. And I'm not.
No,
No.
I thought so too.
No, I'm not an extrovert. I'm an ambivert. And an ambivert means that I'm an introverted person from nature within, but I taught myself to do a lot of different skills, and I taught myself to force myself to go out there and talk to people and stand in front of an audience, because I did that many times. To speak up, to speak out loud, to dress a bit different, to to do my hair a little bit different. I taught myself that because if you want to get somewhere in life, you need to come out of that comfort zone.
Mhm.
And when you wait until the moment occurs, then actually it's too late, because then you're not prepared. So think about that when you're afraid to come out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Yeah. Where do you want to live? You want to live safe, or just a little bit on the edge and a little bit dangerous, because it's just more fun. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Next one.
What is some advice that you would give yourself when you were 20 years old?
Do what I'm doing right now immediately and don't wait. No, that's not possible, because when I was 20, I'd never could, give the advice
Mhm.
that I have right now. Okay. Well, this is a question that is a little bit hard to answer, because I need like 3 podcasts for that. No. Okay. What advice would I give myself? Drop the ego. Very important. Yeah. Drop the ego now and not in 30 years. Because the ego does, ego can be very healthy, but ego can also be very damaging. Yeah. and drop the ego. The second advice I would give to myself and to you as well, from every income that you earn when you work as a student, from any income you earn, anything. When you do this for 10 years, you're going to be just freaking out how much you would have saved. You put 10% aside on every euro in our country, dollar, wherever currency you are, you put 10% aside. Always. Save up 10%, and then after a year, 2 years, 3 years, this gonna pound up. And then get yourself someone that can teach you how to invest your money for the future. And it's really very necessary to think like an entrepreneur, not put all of your balls in one basket, choose more baskets. And also what's important is that be on top of all that is happening. Like, for instance, AI, that's going to be such an incredible shift in our lives, which is really good for you because you can jump on it. Yeah. And then you also know when you study AI, what job opportunities they're going to be when you're a couple of years further. And if you want to start your own business, and how many businesses you can start. And there is something that I'm going to say here, because that question might not be asked, sorry. That is the next topic we're going to have between now and 5 years, live shopping. And that's, the shops that you have in the busy streets, the shoes and the makeup stores and the clothing stores, and the rent is getting so incredible high, and less people are actually, going out to shop because a lot of people are ordering more and more online. Yeah. And live shopping, and that's a part of social media. Live shopping is that when stores will turn into what you see here. Literally, a store will turn into a live video stream. Literally are going to film their products or their niche where they're in, sell it immediately there and then live online. Don't forget this, because this is going to be huge. And when you think about it and you jump on that train, you're going to make it big. Okay. Next question. You're going to make it big. Yeah. Next question.
What advice would you give to students dealing with anxiety about their future?
Yeah. Don't stop. Have the anxiety. It keeps you sharp. This is not an answer you expected. I can see it in your eyes. Yeah. No. Okay. There is one thing again, and that's the same. There is a difference between like being, worried or anxious. Anxious is really being scared, is really getting your emotions the better of you. And anxious is not, it's not that good. When you really are that anxious, you get a sort of hyperventilating attack, then you really need to learn how to control that. Because if you don't control your emotions, and that's with anything in life, whether it's personal, whether it's business, when you cannot control your emotions, then you're right? So but being scared is healthy, because being scared is, you're never gonna stop, It's not because you're 20 or 60 you're less scared. The only thing that really changes when you get older, you think, okay, I've been that, saw that. Breathe. It's gonna be okay. Yeah? What's very important, if you think about your future, it's like, there's so many choices to make, is that whatever you want to do, investigate it first. from needle to thread. Investigate it. Really look it up and be sure that when your mind and your heart agrees, this, it's a zone where you come in, then you take the right decision. When your mind and your heart doesn't agree, or you have this little voice in the back of your head that constantly is saying, I don't know, that means don't.
Mm-hmm.
Each and every one of us, no matter what age you are, have this little voice inside us. And that's called intuition. And when you don't listen to that intuition, you're going away from your own moral values. And, it's not because someone is telling you to do something that means you have to do that. Sometimes it's necessary to disrupt yourself and to say, no, I'm going to stay with my core no matter what anyone tells me. And that's no matter what age. Right. Do we still have one? What's that? How important? Who's going to read it?
Me?
Yeah. Is your question?
No, but I can.
Yeah. You read it. Okay.
How important is networking for students, and how can they approach it authentically?
Okay. Now, network, whether you're a student or not, always stays very important. The people that you surround yourself, that you meet at network events, is gonna create more opportunities for you that you have in the future. When you go and network, there is something I'd like you to know, and that's, it's not important who you know. It's important who knows you. So you better leave an impact when you meet someone. Remember that in the kitchen, I was talking about someone that, he's very known here in Belgium, and not only in Belgium, but abroad. And I would like to have him on my podcast for, private reasons. Of course, I'm not going to mention his name yet. But if I call him, he'll know me. He will remember me. Every time you go out there and network, wherever you are, you better make sure that they know you. So each and every one of you, and that's very important, start a LinkedIn as fast as possible.
We did that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then try to connect with as many people as you can and start sending text messages, but, an introduced text message. That's what I mean. And when you introduce yourself, just don't start typing in and write something. Words can make a tremendous impact. So think about it, what you're going to say and how you're going to say it, because that is going to make the difference in if they will remember you or not.
Yeah, but I think networking for me is really scary because they don't like me or something. So I want to leave a good impression, but I don't know. It's still a little bit scary.
I know, but there's, and I hoped that this topic would come up. There is something very profoundly important that you all need to realize. What other people think about you doesn't matter. It really doesn't. In fact, it's so important that you shouldn't give a shit. That important it is. Because thinking about what other people will think about you will hold you back so much in anything you will do. Because it doesn't, when you want to do something, it's not going to hold you back because of you, but it's going to hold you back because of the fear what other people will think. And that's not okay. And I know like 90% of the people are dealing with that kind of fear and anxiety, but it's just that, this is not about you not being enough. You're enough. Everybody is enough, and this is also something that you were being afraid of being good enough is something you were taught when you were like 5, 6, 7. That's when it happens because, when you're a baby, and we all have been there, when you're a baby and you're like starting to walk and run and you're starting to discover everything and especially yourself, you're standing in a mirror and then you go like, oh, okay. that's discovering yourself. And at that point, you're not thinking, what they're going to think of me when I do that. Right? Yeah. Okay. You know, I'm not saying you have to go on the street and go like, but you know what actually, it's not a bad idea. You know, you go with a lot of girlfriends, you go on the street and you really act tremendously crazy and everybody will look at you. And remember when I sent you that video when I was in Spain?
Yes.
Yeah. When I was like sitting there. Yeah. Yeah. People are looking. Yeah. People are really. What is she doing with a camera on the beach, all dressed up in the sun, like sweating? Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. So that's my way of showing you whatever they think. I don't care. So say that 10 times a day to yourself. Oh, you're going to jump so much further in life when you stop caring about what other people think. Because in all honesty, people don't give a shit. They're too busy thinking about themselves.
That's true.
So, yeah, don't wait 30 years to get there. Do it now. And this is one of the reasons that I just love doing this, you know. Don't wait 30 years, you know, just start doing it now. And each and every one of you has a topic to work on.
That's right.
Yeah. Power, ladies. Okay. So I think we're at the end. Unless someone has another question.
I think we can ask you a million questions.
Yeah. But that podcast is not that long.
That will be very long.
Yeah, that's going to be very long. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. Thanks for tuning in into 30 Years of Wisdom. We'll be posting every week, and sometimes it's just going to be me, and sometimes we'll be joined by an amazing guest speaker. Got questions or topics you'd like to see in one of our future episodes? Just drop them in the comments below, and I promise you that I will do my very best to make a podcast about that. When I share your question, I'll read it aloud. And whether you would like your name to be mentioned or not is entirely up to you. So your wish will always be respected from my part. And if you would like to support this channel and go the extra mile, join us on our Patreon community. It's like sharing a cup of coffee or tea a month. And this way you support and help us to keep the wisdom flowing. And remember, if no one's paying attention to this channel, but you are, there's a reason for that. Trust your gut instinct. You're in the right place.